everyone. Thanks for joining us here today for our press conference, which is also being live streamed. Our format today will be, we'll have some opening remarks from our speakers, and then we'll take your questions. We have some microphones for the audience. If you have a question, we ask that you raise your hand so we can get you on microphone so our viewers at home can hear the questions. With that, I'll turn it over to our Director of Athletics, Brad Bates.
Thanks, Chris. I want to welcome all of you here today. Exciting day in Boston College basketball. There are a lot of characteristics that you look at when you're selecting the next leader of your basketball program. There's some core elements at Boston College that go without question. They're fundamental: integrity, competitiveness, ability to coach and recruit. But beyond that, Jim Christian brings really 4 elements that make me very excited to have him leading our program. First of all, he wants to be here. He has a passion for Boston College. This is a place he wants to come and lead us to compete in the greatest basketball conference in the country. Second, everyone has a vision, but your ability to articulate a plan to realize that vision is really something that struck home in the way Jim talked about Boston College. Third, you have a track record of championships, because we believe winning championships teaches a skill, a knowledge, an experience that students can take with them and serve them in any endeavors they engage the rest of their lives as leaders. And finally, fit. Someone that fits the values and the culture of Boston College. And at the end of the day, Jim distanced himself from a lot of interest in this job. And, oh, by the way, I've never met a basketball coach who can develop professional basketball players and, using a basketball court, NFL players. That's Jim Christian. So please join me in welcoming the head coach of Boston College, Jim Christian.
Well, first of all, 2 things I think I'd like to start out by doing. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce my wife, Patty, and my brother-in-law, John, and his son, and my high school coach, Steve Lenowitz. It's not very often that your family can see you reach one of your dreams. And the second thing I'd have to do before I even start would be give all of my best to Coach York and the BC hockey team as they set out to hang another banner in Conte Forum and win the national championship. And also you don't have to be here long to know who Johnny Hockey is and his quest to win the Hobie Baker Award. But I have to start by telling you how honored I am to stand here as the next head basketball coach at Boston College. I'm deeply indebted and forever grateful to Father Leahy, to Brad Bates, to Leo Sullivan, for this special opportunity. I think as a basketball coach, you want to be in a situation where there's proper fits. And I have an unbelievable appreciation for the players and coaches that have created the unbelievable tradition here at Boston College. And if you look at all the different regimes, from Dr. Tom Davis to Gary Williams to Jim O'Brien to Al Skinner, and the great players, some of whom might be here, that tradition is unbelievably impressive. And as a coach, the only thing you're trying to do is you're trying to look at where have they been successful, and have they been successful with some people like you. And as I analyzed it, and then as the process, which was a very, very thorough process, I've been through some of these before, and this was the most thorough process. So the next step, I sat down with Andy Boynton, Bob Taggart, Father Jack, and Pat Keating, some members of the faculty, and you hear them talk about Boston College. And these things are all resonating in my mind that this is just the ideal fit for Jim Christian. Everything that he wants, everything he wants in a community, everything he wants in a school. You can hear the passion in their voice when they talk about Boston College, not just Boston College basketball. And it just became clearer and clearer and clearer that this was just an ideal spot for me. Not only was it a dream job, and every college coach in the country wants to compete against the very best, but it was just an ideal fit for me in everything that I wanted, everything that I think that I can do. And then the process for me went to the next step. I got a chance to get up here yesterday, and right from the plane, I met right with our players. right from the plane. Unfortunately, my wife had to go get the bags, and I just went right to the car to meet with the players because they had to go get class. So it's the beginning of this process for her, and all the weight goes onto her shoulders, and I just throw myself into this full force and trying to get everything I can to get this basketball program moving in the right direction. But what I did with the players, and I'll share it with you because I think it's really important that they understand it, because when these things happen, and I went through it as a player, there's so much apprehension. What's going on? What is the new coach's philosophy? What is he about? What does he want to do? So I told them in reality, the thing that we want is two things, and our program is going to be about two things every single day. Number one is identity, and the other one is development. And everybody kind of talks about it, and everybody talks about how important it is. And I told them exactly what I'm going to do to create our identity because we do it at all the places that I've been. Every day at practice, we wheel a board out the size of this wall, the size of all this BC, and we call it our identity board. What is our identity board? Our identity board is who we want to be. So during the course of practice, we're going to have to make 20 offensive and defensive identity plays. This is who we're trying to be. And then we chart it during the course of the game. So whoever makes it, Lonnie Jackson dives, he's the first guy on the floor. That's an identity play. We take one off the board, we put Lonnie's name on there. But what does it do? It gives me an opportunity to praise him, understand, to resonate in his mind, this is who we are. That's a heck of a play. Excuse me. Catholic school. That's who we're trying to be. One of our players takes a charge and 5 players sprint over to pick him up. That's who we're trying to be. So every single day, we know who we're trying to be on both ends of the floor, and there's about 9 or 10 different things, and I'm just going to give you a couple examples. But if you think I'm a little bit excited talking about them now, you should come to practice. Because every day they need to understand what a Boston College basketball player is trying to be. Because once you gather up all those things and you add them all up, what you're doing is you're creating a culture of who you are. So when things don't go well, you go back to that culture of what you created. And the other part of his development, we play basketball at the highest level in the best league in the country. And every single guy coming here wants to be developed in all areas, and every single player in our program is going to be developed in all areas. And it has to start with me. The development that I put into them as a player, the amount of time I spend with them building relationships, and that's my first goal here. And I told each one of our players after that meeting, and I've met with them all today. I had 16 individual player meetings today, which is why I look a little drained. Because I wanted to do it right away. I wanted to reach out. And when I told them the challenge is twofold, because I can't just extend myself to the players on this team. They have to extend themselves and create relationships as well, because that's how important that it is. It's important for them to grow if they get to understand the head coach, what the head coach is about, and they want to do that. So I told them when they walk by the basketball office, it's not a suggestion to come in and see how we're doing. It's not a suggestion. It's something that we're going to do, because I just think this time of the year, when these type of changes happen, developing relationships as quickly as you can is paramount. And so we talk about a lot of things and find out a lot of things. So with all that being said, the minute they told me I got this job, I hit the ground running and doing all the different things. Unfortunately, it was right around the same time as the Final Four. So I went right down to Dallas. I started talking to some potential staff members. I started formulating my own game plan and getting everything ready. And I couldn't be more excited to be here because of what Boston College is, the family atmosphere that's so prevalent everywhere you walk. My wife and I went to eat yesterday, and 3 students just came up and started talking to us, and it just makes us feel so welcome. And that's why I'm so excited to be at Boston College. Not only the great tradition, not only the great athletic programs, not only the great support that we have both from our administration and everybody else. The goal now is to get the community involvement, to get the students back involved with everything we're doing. And there's one way to do it, and it's called winning. It's winning and extending yourself. It's going out and meet people. It's becoming members of the Boston College community, getting into the inner fabric of the school, and that's what we're looking forward to do, because we couldn't be more excited to be here. I'm unbelievably thankful for this opportunity. And as I told Brad when he called me and told me that I was fortunate enough to get the job, I'm going to work every day to make him as proud as I possibly can for the commitment they've given to me. So with all that being said, if anybody has a question, excuse me, I have to thank one more person because this is true. On my way back from my second conversation with Boston College, I was talking to my wife on the phone, and they had done an unbelievable job at that point of trying to keep everything secretive. And the limo driver, Michael James Sullivan, Sully, if you're listening somewhere, he said, "Coach, I'm going to say a prayer for you tonight." And he didn't even, and I said, "So Sully, thank you for your prayers because I think you helped me out." Appreciate it. But with that, if anybody has any questions, I'd be excited to answer it.
Hi, Jim. Rich Thompson, Boston Herald. Where is your staff right now? Do you have any announcements, and where is it right now?
No, our staff, I mean, obviously I've had some extensive discussions, and I know the type of people I want. I know the areas that I want to attack and approach, and I'm kind of doing all my due diligence because, you know, I do think it's important that I get people who understand the level that we're recruiting. I have not recruited as an ACC coach, as a head coach, so I'm trying to get guys who have already proven they can recruit at this level. I'm not trying to see if they can do it. I want people who have established and can do it. So to do that, obviously, there's got to be some commitments and some extensive conversations. I'm thoroughly into it. I want to do it as quickly as possible, but I'm not going to hurry. And I want to have a lot of conversations and talk to a bunch of different people because, to me, it's the most important. They're all important decisions. When you take over a program, every decision in the beginning is paramount, but none more important than that. So hopefully there'll be some announcements soon. I feel real confident. I'm excited about the quality of people who are interested in this job. And that goes to tell a lot, talk about what everybody thinks Boston College can become. So I'm very, very excited about that.
Hi, Coach.
Hi.
Welcome. Mike Petralia, WEEI.com. Your philosophy, first of all, if you could address on
Yeah.
recruiting and how your experience, championship experience at OU in Ohio helps you in this position, how it transfers.
Well, the recruiting philosophy is kind of, I think, twofold. So when I looked at the staff, I'm trying to get three things. Number one, I want a proven recruiter from New England, from this area, somebody who's gotten high major talent out of this area. It was my number one goal. This is a talent-rich area. It's a relationship area, and I want somebody who can, I have relationships here, but I want somebody who's got even stronger ties than them to me that can lead me to the right people, talk to the right people. And with that, you have to have great evaluators. If you look over the course of Boston College history, it hasn't just been straight recruiting. It's been great evaluation and recruiting. So those two things got to have to tie together. With another spot, I wanted somebody who's proven they can get players nationally, because with the name of the ACC and the academic reputation of our school, and if you look at the current roster makeup and the roster makeups from the past, you have to attack it in both ways. I think if you have too many New England guys, they almost get in each other's way, and you have to spread yourself out as far as you can, because I just think the growth of the ACC is going to, as big as it is now, it's only going to get bigger. And the one thing that I know is great players want to play against great players. So it's our job to go knock on as many doors as we can to get the guys that we need that satisfy two things, because I think in recruiting, it's a double-edged sword. If you rush right away to just get talent and don't cultivate the culture in your program, it's just talent. See, because when you're trying to catch people, you got to catch them twice. You're not just catching the talent pool. And that's one thing I think I learned when I went down to TCU, that, you know, when you go to a program like that and you step in some potholes, you know where they are. And I think one of the things that I've learned and stick with me forever is you better catch them on both fronts. So the guys that you're bringing in, they better be able to attack the culture pool as well, not just the talent pool, because you're not just catching their talent, you're catching their winning culture. And that's not something that we currently have. We have it in tradition in this program, but this current group of guys, and I told them that I'm not here waiting for my group of guys to come in. The minute I took this job, I came here to get those group of seniors to enjoy their last year and get the most out of it. And they need to understand that I'm not waiting for them to get through and get to the next guys. We're trying to win. Nobody should be hungrier than a senior who hasn't achieved all the things that he wants to do, and that's the challenge for them. They can lay a great foundation here in terms of those things. So that's kind of a long-winded answer to your question, but that's where I'm trying to recruit and the way I'm trying to recruit.
Speaking of seniors, Ryan Anderson announced that he'd probably be leaving the school. Did you actually have any meetings or any conversations with Ryan? Briefly.
I came in yesterday afternoon, and we talked briefly. And let's face it, Ryan has done some great things at Boston College. In my conversation, I let him know how much I would love to have coached him. I think he's really, really good for the way I like to do things, and I can help him. But again, at the end of the day, I want all the players to do what they think is best for them. You know, I wasn't here for all the things he went through, but if that's what he wanted to do, I'd wish him well. Again, but I did reiterate to him how much I wanted to coach him and explain clearly what our program is going to be about.
Also, Olivia Hanlon expressed interest that he might be looking elsewhere. Did you have a conversation with him, and does it look like he might be staying?
We had a couple of great conversations, a couple on the phone when I first got the job, talked to him and his family. And we had some great conversations, and we'll continue to do so. Yeah. Hey, John.
Can you speak to the admissions at BC? We always hear about BC being a tough school for kids to get into, and that there are kids that leave this area in particular and go to other schools because the BC admissions office is just so tight. Can you talk about your philosophy or your view on that?
But to be quite honest, I have not sat down specifically with anybody on admissions. Was talking a lot about it to them, how it's more of a case-by-case basis, and I think they look at the overall total body of work as a student, and on visits, they come and see them, and they talk to them one-on-one. It's probably more of a personal approach than it would be a paper approach, as some schools are, and that's probably a really good thing, because at the end of the day, what you really want is people who obviously can be great basketball players, but they've got to be able to want to be at this school and be successful at this school. And the best way to do it is to sit down and talk to people and what their goals and dreams are, and their approach to their academic life. So I think it's a great process, and I think it was the same way, to be honest with you, with this job. The one thing that stood out to me with this job was just the personal approach that it was. They wanted to know everything, and it wasn't just one or two people. It wasn't an athletic department member. It was, people from all over different facets of campus, and the questions were great. Most of them were basketball, a lot of basketball questions. There's some faculty here who understand this game and understand Boston College, and as I went through that whole thing, it was just so rewarding and had so much fun for me to go through it and be able to express, my passion for this place and my passion for wanting this job and what I think I can do. Yep. I mean, obviously, for our basketball team, if you looked at it, they were the 30th ranked offensive team in the country. So if you ranked them through some resources, 1 to 350, we were 30. And 296 on defense. And I don't know if it tells the whole story, but it definitely tells a story. Offensively, we probably pushed the ball a little faster. But really the focus and emphasis of our teams, because the weakness is going to be on the defensive end of the floor, where I think our teams have played very, very well. And I think this is such a league that it's hard to trade baskets with these players. And it's hard to completely lock them up. So right from the beginning, the first time we were able to hit the floor, we're gonna have a basketball team that's gonna understand our system thoroughly, clearly, and what we're trying to do. And as I mentioned earlier, a team that's gonna understand the importance of how all those little things come together and give you a chance to win the game. Games are never won on those huge things, especially at this level. If you break down any basketball game, there's probably 3, 4, 5 plays, little plays that somebody could have made, maybe a step late, maybe just didn't see it quick enough, that really determine the outcomes of the game. And I just think that's what's gonna be ingrained into our players from day one. And it's got to be tangible. It can't just be my words every time. It can't be my words every day. They have to see it. They have to hold each other accountable to it, and that's what happens. So from that identity board, it goes in the locker room. How many identity plays have you made for us today? You're either not seeing it or not believing it. In one way, we got to correct it. And that's kind of what it is. It's a way of holding them accountable every day to the way we practice, how we practice, what we practice. So especially when you're playing in this league, you've got a point of reference you can go back to. And if we understand the importance of these little things, then we'll have a better chance to be successful.
This question is actually for Brad, if you don't mind.
Thanks for including me.
Obviously, you have MAC background, and he has Jim has MAC background from Ohio University. I was just wondering if that played a role, if you were familiar with him, and what is it about his background that you think can help establish BC among the elite in the ACC? Because obviously, it's a very competitive basketball conference.
Yeah, we never overlapped when Jim was at OU, but we did when he was at Kent State, and he had it going when he was at Kent State. That was the dominant team. It's a league where if you don't win the conference tournament championship, you're not going to the dance. So you need to win it. And what I saw from Jim's programs are a lot of what he just said. There was a toughness, a tenacity, and a defense that they played that was really tough to compete against. And And the way he inspired his team, he talked to his team, he coached them and taught them on the bench. You pick those things up when you go head-to-head against someone over a number of years. And so Jim's someone that's been on my list for a while, and then the opportunity to interact with him through this process, certainly we wouldn't be here today if he hadn't done extremely well. Does that answer your question? Yeah, really the things I articulated at the beginning. You know, he is very passionate about Boston College. I think you saw that in his comments earlier. He can clearly articulate a vision on how he's going to get there. And he's got a history of championships that I think is a really telling sign of a coach. How you win championships. Because ultimately that's how you're going to get to the postseason and really contribute to student formation and development. And so all those things combined in ways that I think make Jim a perfect fit for what this program needs right now at this point in time.
Welcome, Coach. Eric Hofstas, Ravels.com.
Okay.
With the departure of Ryan, that leaves at least one opening. You know, the recruiting late period ends pretty soon here. It's coming up in a hurry. Do you think you'll have time to fill a spot with a possible recruit, or would you look more towards a fifth-year guy coming in and transferring in here?
Yeah, I think it's case by case. I think that especially now as it gets later and later, you know, you want to make sure that you're getting guys who satisfy some of the things I talked about earlier and not just take a body to have a body, especially when you're in the infancy stages of what you're doing. But without question, if we can identify somebody that we think can help us fill a need and also add to the positive culture of our program, we would definitely do it and going to investigate everything that we can do. But again, it's all time, and there's a lot of things, and especially with the transfers, it's I think a big problem in college basketball when you're looking at over 500 kids a year transferring schools. You know, it's a new phenomenon. It's really sad in a lot of ways that you know that kids are leaving at such a rapid rate. Thank you.